This is COLM McGuigan for IFLTV.
Can I just say quickly, yeah? Don't ever do that again.
What?
We're about to start the interview, and you look through your lens and you go, "You're looking really old, to be fair." I mean, what sort of fucking mojo is that? Like, you're saying to me, right, Ed, we need great content from you. Oh, give us the big energy, give us the memes, give us this. And then you start off by going, "You're looking really old, really." Don't ever do that again. Just tell me I'm unbelievable, tell me I'm looking unbelievable, and you'll get better content, all right? So
Do you feel unbelievable?
I do, actually, yeah. I got in last night. I've got to be honest, these flights knock the bollocks out of you, don't they? I mean, you know, I'm travelling like nearly every week, and I found last night's flight actually quite brutal.
Hold on a second.
I'll be honest with you, the bed was so uncomfy. And got here, had a good kip, had a good run this morning, had a nice breakfast this morning with my old mate Louis de Cubas, who is a very good friend and someone I really enjoy doing business with. At the Tableau, if you're coming to Las Vegas or you appreciate your food and your establishments, Tableau is a restaurant in the Tower Suites of the Wynn. For me, the best breakfast. Love it. And we have two shows on. Your light's gone off. We have two shows. I look old now. We have two shows this weekend, so I'm buzzing. We are 7 minutes away from announcing Boots v Stanionis. We are signing the most incredible young talent. We've done Benn Eubank. We've got Feb 22nd coming up in Riyadh. I'm absolutely buzzing, to be honest with you. And life is good. Are you going to leave that light off, or you just?
Yeah, you actually look better with it off, to be honest.
Okay, good.
Need to conserve the battery for the big dogs later.
Yeah.
I actually want to talk to you about something. Louis de Cubas Jr. How did that relationship come about? Is that through Turkey Al Sheikh and Riyadh season? Because previous, you two didn't really ever.
Yeah, me and Louis go way back. We've made loads of fights together. We started, myself and Louis de Cubas, we made Anthony Joshua against Charles Martin. And at the time, let me tell you, we paid Charles Martin an absolute fortune. I mean, Louis de Cubas had my pants down, no lube, right? And just fucking destroyed. But it was also, and we always talk about that deal, that was probably the best bit of business we've ever done. Because AJ captured the world heavyweight title and on we went. But it was a good deal and it was the right deal for everybody. And we've always done brilliant business together. And even though my relationship with Heyman, you know, has been indifferent and sometimes non-existent, I've always had an open line with Louis, and we've always made big fights. And with Tom Brown as well, you know, who they work with. But Louis's been the glue between Matchroom and PBC, and we're doing more and more business. And Boots Stanionis is a great example of, for me, one of the best fights that can be made in America. And we got what we wanted, and we stayed true to the strategy, and we delivered number 1 v number 2 in the welterweight division, the best fight in the division. IBF, WBA, Ring Magazine, brilliant fight.
Why Atlantic City for that fight? Because a lot of people will look at it and say Boots' headline sold out in Philadelphia twice on the bounce, and now you're going a little bit. It's close to Philadelphia, but still a little bit away.
We wanted to do something a little bit different, if I'm honest with you. I think, for me, Boardwalk Hall is one of the best venues in boxing. And we're not rolling the dice, but we know we've got a solid 7-figure gate every time we go to Philadelphia. But we have been there twice in 6 months. And sometimes you can keep going to the well a little bit. And this is such a historic fight. I mean, when you think about the Ring Magazine belt at 147, there's two guys that have held that in the last couple of decades. And that's Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. And beyond that, you look at the history. You know, Wilfredo Benitez, Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, like, it's such an iconic fight, and I love that venue. And I just think it will do really well down in Atlantic City. Boots has boxed there before, done a big gate. It's not far from Philly. And I just like the venue for the fight, and was a really important fight for us to get over the line.
obviously we're here in Las Vegas for a big fight, and first of all, I want to speak to you about this kind of bonanza of boxing on Saturday. It's 12 hours on the zone. Where does that idea come from? Because obviously you want to be at all the shows.
Yeah.
Now you're having to sacrifice being
Yeah.
in Nottingham at Dalton Smith fight. Why?
So I always try to not make our shows clashes. I mean, you never want to make a clash anyway, but certainly not your own shows. We were due to go in the UK on January the 18th, and then they made Fury against Till on the 18th. So we sort of spoke to DAZN, and we said, look, what about, I mean, the Dalton Smith card in Nottingham is a solid show. It's not Boots against Stanionis. It's not Catterall Barboza and Pacheco Nelson, which I think this is a great card out here and a really good main event. They're not, again, the big shows. So we just come up with the idea to just run them all on the same night, simultaneously in the broadcast. From 5 p.m. in the UK, before the bell, 7 p.m. main broadcast, and then roll straight into before the bell in Vegas. And it's just not been done before. And we like to push the boundaries. We like to be groundbreaking. And you know, when it was pitched to me, the idea of doing it, I liked it. And I'm gutted I'm not in the UK because I hate missing shows. But obviously, you know, we got to split it up this Saturday. And I think for the fight fan, it's something different, something new. You know, coming up to the final weekends of January, it's freezing cold. You sit at home and watch just a brilliant 12 hours of boxing.
Let's talk about the Nottingham show first. Dalton Smith, in a very important fight for Dalton. How important is it that he comes through this? And then do you look towards that Adam Azim fight that everyone's talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we asked Ben Shalom for the Adam Azim fight on the Eubank Ben card. And Beatrice Ferrer against Caroline Dubois as well. But, you know, to be fair to Adam Azim, he's got his fight coming up next weekend, is it? And then he's got Ramadan, so he wanted an easier fight on that card. He's now not on the card at all. But I think Dalton Smith is going to fight for the World Championship. He's going to be mandatory this year for the WBC World title. So after, hopefully, he beats Owaza for the European title, he's done it all. British, Commonwealth, European titles, WBC silver, WBC number 1, mandatory challenger. But we're probably going to need to have a fight in the middle. Why not Adam Azim? I mean, that is a brilliant fight. And if Adam Azim can beat him, he'll become mandatory for the world title. So we're giving Adam Azim a shot at the mandatory position. By the way, against the winner of Puello and Sandor Martin. This is not Richardson Hitchens. This is not Teofimo Lopez. They're good fighters, but they're well beatable. So we don't have to do anything. Just win Saturday, and we're good. But that's not the plan. We're not about that. You know, we want to make sure that he's in big fights. And I think after Saturday, just posting the Boots Stanionis.
You ever give anyone access to your?
To be honest, Scott Hamilton now has access to my Twitter account. I've kind of come off Twitter a little bit because I just found myself mindlessly scrolling. And since I've come off Twitter, my stats on my Whoop have gone through the roof. You know, like HRV. And just, I really believe this is a real thing. I know this is a bit of a diversion from the interview. Let's just chat. Reading negativity and bad news, bullshit, agendas, lies, and this is not just in boxing, this is like just the feed of Twitter. When you step away from that, you don't even like it's not even in your mind. Since I've stopped using social media as much, I feel completely different. Do you know that?
Different in what way though? Because you're
just like you're away from you just get distracted because in life the most important thing is to focus on what you're doing and focus on your goals and stay in your lane. With all that other stuff, it's not. And I'm not just talking boxing stuff, but boxing a little bit. Criticism, like I said, bullshit, lies, agendas. Like,
not being funny though, but social media made you like.
I wouldn't say it made me.
Yeah, genuinely, no one would know who you were apart from boxing fans. Truthfully,
I'm not on there. I'm not. I post all the posts you see on Twitter are from me. I run my Instagram, right? Unless something bad happens, then someone else runs it, and I can blame them. But like, I think for me, Twitter just became such a cesspit, and I'm not just talking about boxing. It's like, if you go on your For You page, if you're in the world of boxing and fighting, all it is fights and wars and this terrible picture of something happening there and a terrible picture of something. Like, I don't think you should be oblivious to what's going on in the world, but do you need to be feeding your energy with that? And I'm just saying that since I stopped, I would go on Twitter. So I'd pick up my phone and I would go, this is like in the downtime, right? WhatsApp, whatever, Instagram, right? Twitter, 20 minutes on Twitter. Oh, fucking that's happening. Oh, that's happening. Oh, you're a prick. You're this. You're a twat. That's a shit fight. You're a helmet. Fucking blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, how can that be good for you? Like, and it's the same, even, I mean, obviously, yourself. I don't even know if anyone comments on your stuff, but like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a good interviewer, right? You got your other business interests. So the last thing, and I never sit there and like it never breaks me or makes me cry, but I just came to realise.
Has it ever broke you or came close? Has anyone ever said anything?
But it does wind you up, and
because we spoke in an interview a few weeks ago, right? And you told me you were reading your requests on Instagram, and someone said it was a shit fight. I forget what the fight was, and you replied to them straight away. So, what makes you want to reply to them people?
Just the mood that I'm in. Sometimes you got the ump, haven't you? Sometimes you want to have a laugh. Sometimes, but when you read your DM requests and there's stuff like saying that they hope that a family member dies of cancer or something like that's just like the fucked world that you live in. But that comes with the territory as well. And I'm not removed, but I believe that what you take in really feeds what you give out, right? And I just think that sometimes if you remove yourself from negativity and bad energy, it's so much easier to just focus on what you're doing. And in 23 weeks of not being on Twitter all the time, like on my Zoom, my Whoop, it's completely changed all my numbers.
We kind of went a little bit
mate.
Off topic, but we'll pick that up at another time. Let's talk about this fight this weekend. Is this a risk for Diego Pacheco? Because I don't want to say Stephen Nelson's unknown, but he's not. He's not a. So what was the reasoning behind taking this?
This is the kind of fight that if he gets beat, everyone goes, "Oh, what has Eddie Hearn done?" I
think Benn Undercard just been announced. We're going a little bit off topic here. The date and venue. What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that Benn Eubank is official. April 26, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Mega. Undercard so far includes Liam Smith against Aaron McKenna, the unbeaten Irishman. Great fight. Anthony Yard against Lyndon Arthur. 3. Great fight. Vidal Riley against Chev Clark. British cruiserweight banger. And Chris Billam-Smith against Brandon Glanton, the American puncher. So there we go.
More to come on that?
Depending on what His Excellency has planned for the show, which is going to blow your mind. So I can't say too much.
Come on, give us a bit of an idea.
Well, there'll be a lot more in terms of action and
music performance.
Potentially.
How big of a night for British boxing is that?
Massive. It was the hottest ticket in town. Benn Eubank, Spurs, April 26th. Can't wait.
Let's go back to this fight. I don't want to lose out on what we're speaking about. So why? Because a lot of people will look at someone like Jason Quigley, and I'm not just saying it because I'm Irish, right? Natural progression for Pacheco to fight someone like that.
It's not a good fight. Quigley's not going to cause a threat. I love Jason Quigley, by the way. He's not active. He's not going to cause a threat.
But Berlanga couldn't get him out of there, so it's like kind of pitching them both against each other.
We're like, the reality is Stephen Nelson is a proper fight, a tough fight, an undefeated fighter. Bud Crawford, you know, Bomac, serious ambition, serious fight. I've got to prepare Diego Pacheco for Canelo Alvarez. He's going to be mandatory for Canelo in the next 6 to 12 months. You've got to be ready. And by the way, after Nelson, there's a level or two we got to fight at before we fight Canelo Alvarez. But we can't be just like cherry picking names because someone once fought them. Steve Nelson is avoided, yeah? He's a good fighter. Let's fucking see how good Diego Pacheco is. And by the way, if he gets beat, people go, oh, what a terrible bit of matchmaking. Eddie gave him a tough fight instead of an easy fight against a bigger name. Bollocks. How shit's that for boxing? This is a real fight on Saturday. And we're going to start finding out if Diego Pacheco is really the real deal.
Canelo Crawford looks like it's done for September. Do you like that fight?
For the sport, yeah. I mean, I think it's a massive spectacle. I think that Crawford's coming up, I mean, really 3 weight classes. He's just come up 1 weight class, or he's come up 3 weight classes before that. And I think he's physically disadvantaged in the fight, but he's a brilliant pound for pound fight. I mean, really, it's 2 generational greats fighting each other.
Why would Crawford not implement the rehydration clause on Canelo?
Because Canelo would never do it. That's why.
If you were in the position of advising Crawford, would you advise him to take a rehydration clause on this?
He would have loved one. Bomac would have loved one. I mean, they can give interviews saying, but it wasn't on the table. You're only as good as what you negotiate, right? So when people say about, Eubank's got a hydration clause, yeah, I negotiated it. It was an unbelievable bit of business. But by the way, it doesn't really physically affect Chris Eubank Jr. because it's not difficult for him, £10, but it's just a little bit of aggravation for him. He's got to wake up. He's got to check his weight before he goes to bed. He's got to check his weight in the morning. But when people say that's unfair to Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn's coming up 2 weight classes. What are you talking about? And by the way, I think there should be a hydration clause in Canelo Alvarez against Crawford. Crawford's coming up from 54. He can't even weigh 68. Conor Benn won't even weigh 60. Conor Benn will come in about 155, 156, 157, something like that. He'll probably go in the ring at 160, 163. So he's going to be 10 or 14 pounds lighter than Chris Eubank on the night. Same with Crawford against Canelo. So that's why Conor Benn against Eubank is a 50-50 fight, because of the weight. If it was at welterweight, or if Conor was an actual middleweight, he'd smash him to pieces. And I think he'll still smash him to pieces. But the weight is what gives you the disadvantage. And I just don't see, you're not talking about Crawford fighting just a super middleweight who's just a good world champion. You're talking about him fighting a pound for pound great. And I just think the weight will be too much for Terence Crawford.
I'll rattle a few off really quickly because I know we're pushed for time. Froch said he was offered the Darren Till fight. What do you make of that?
By who?
So he was offered by Mams Taylor and Misfits, but it was only on 4 weeks' notice. He was away skiing. He said he didn't really have time to prepare. Would you like to see Carl get back in the ring in a Misfits capacity?
Not really.
Do you think it kind of dents his legacy a little?
Yeah, I mean, I think Misfits, I like the brand. I think, I watched some of it the other week. It was wild. I mean, awful. But it's awfully good, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a freak show. But you got like Darren Till, but all Misfits main events generally are like decent guys who can really fight. Darren Till can fight. He's a mixed martial arts guy, but he can box. He's got a brilliant training team. He's around good people. But I wouldn't like to see Carl go into that world. But I hope Darren gets a big fight. So I think he's pretty good. The Anthony Taylor fight was obviously a bit of a mismatch, but I'd like to see Darren Till in a proper fight. What
did you make of the KSI Wayne Bridge situation? Because it felt like kind of Wayne Bridge was thrown into a situation he didn't really know a lot about, and then obviously he's had a bit of time to think about it, and he's backed out.
Yeah, I get it. I get Wayne Bridge pulling out because he's got dough. He's got why does he want to put himself in that situation. I think it's just the new world, isn't it? Like, there's obviously there's things that you just don't say. You know, was it Johnny Nelson called it a man code or something? Like, and that's kind of, I get what he's saying, it's kind of right, but that new world don't really respect that. So, but I think a lot of people would have just chinned KSI on the spot. Do you know what I mean? But I think Wayne was a bit like, oh my God, what? Like, but it's the new world. People aren't afraid of what they're saying. But when you do say certain things, you've got to be prepared to back it up, either physically or, you know, in a courtroom. So, but I think that there's certain lines you just don't cross. You know, and you know, but that's that world, isn't it? It's like it's designed to shock. And I just think Wayne probably got home and went, you know what, I don't need this in my life. And that was it.
Last one from me. Peter McGreal, what's next for Peter? And has any of Dennis McCann's titles been vacated?
I don't know. I mean, you know, Peter had a good win in Saudi and in tough circumstances. And he'll be back out probably early summer, looking for the big fights. To be honest, I think Shabazz Massoud against Peter McGrail is the fight. Brilliant fight. And the winner goes on for a shot at the world title.
Ed, appreciate your time.